Tennessee Wildcast is live on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. Thanks for tuning in. It's going to be a great show today. We're excited. We have Mr. Michael Neal. He's a professional bass angler with us today. Michael, how's it going?
Oh, it's pretty good, and I'm excited to be here.
Glad to have you. And we have Mr. Frank Fisk. He's our Chief of Fisheries here at the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Frank, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Jason.
Glad you're here, and looking forward to having both of you. A lot of knowledge right here at the table. And we're going to tell you about what's going on in some professional angling and what's going on with our aquatic nuisance species efforts and what's going on with some Asian carp. So that's going to be the main topics for today. And I'm just going to say this. Check out our new camera angle there on camera one. I like that. What do you think? See that alert sign? What's that alert sign there, Frank?
That's the poster that we have up at all the ramps where we have Asian carp to let people know they're there, to watch out for them and don't move them as bait.
All right, and we'll talk more about that today. So don't dump your bait, don't move your bait. And we got these cool cards. I'll hold it up right here. Maybe you can see that at home if you're watching. Stop the spread of invasive species. We talked about this a few weeks ago with David Roddy, and we're going to talk more about that today as well. So let's kick it off with Michael. Michael is no stranger to the agency. He's been helping us out with some public service announcements and things like that with the aquatic nuisance species efforts. And just going to get a background on Michael today and talk to him about how he got into fishing. So let's just start there. What got you interested in the world of fishing, Michael?
Fishing for me is really just a family thing. My dad, my uncle, my grandfather, all three really heavily into it. They've all fished tournaments at some point in their life, and that's just really what a lot of my early childhood memories are, is going out on Lake Chickamauga, even in a small canoe. With little push-button Zebco rods. Power Rangers was my favorite one at the time.
There you go.
I mean, it was just that was just something I really grew to enjoy, and just it was the one thing that I wanted to go do outdoors all the time was go fishing, whether it was in a pond, on the lake, whatever it may be. That was what I had my mindset on, was just going fishing.
What body of water did you grow up fishing on?
Chickamauga was where 90% of my time was spent. I traveled around, fished some Watts Bar, Gunnersville, a little bit of Nickajack, things like that, but it's mostly Chickamauga.
So you've seen the impact and the increase on the way the Florida bass have flourished there, and the way the fisheries improved there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's been great. The fisheries department at TWRA has done a great job there introducing the Florida strain bass. There's been several tournaments where they've came and actually done fin clip samples of the fish, and pretty much any fish over 8 pounds that they've taken the clippings off of has had that Florida strain gene in them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's no other way to not attribute it to TWRA and their efforts in the lake to make it what it is today.
Frank, I know this probably isn't in our notes today, but what all's going on out there at Chickamauga right now, if anything?
Well, we're still stocking Chickamauga with Floridas, and we're in a we don't need to monitor the genetics every year, but we do hit it every few years to see what progress it's making and how much Florida bass is in the population. We're real interested in Chickamauga because we've got several other lakes that we've just more recently started stocking. So we think Chickamauga is going to be kind of a blueprint for what we can expect in those other lakes. So we're watching we're watching what's happening on Chickamauga to inform what's happening on the other lakes as well.
Awesome. So
we're still in it. It's even though we haven't been talking about it in a while, we're still working on it.
Oh yeah, we're always working on trying to make fishing better for you folks at home and sportsmen and fishermen in Tennessee. So we want to make it as best we can. So you talked about your mentorship, Michael, and some of the folks that got you introduced into that. You're on tour now. You've made it to the big leagues, I guess you could say. You said you're with the Major League Fishing Tour now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I fished the FLW Tour for the past 7 years, and this year MLF, Major League Fishing, it's been on TV for a few years now. They've always been really big on conservation. They catch, weigh, and release the fish right there on the boats. There's no riding the fish around in a live well all day, trying to keep the water temperatures cool, the oxygen levels good for the fish. So now they introduced a new tour that's the Bass Pro Tour. And what this did is it took 80 of the best anglers in the country. It took guys from the FLW Tour, from the Bassmaster Elites, and brought them all together under this one umbrella, the Bass Pro Tour. And it's going to be a really big hit for these guys. I mean, it's that's something that as you can tell, I'm here with TWRA and the ANS stuff. I'm passionate about the conservation. The more fish that we can weigh on the boat and release them right there, the better shape the fishery is going to be in than if we bring them to the scales and ride around in the boat all day.
How cool is it to be considered one of those select few that got a chance to move over to that league?
Oh, it was definitely an honor. I mean, there was a lot of rumors going around for a couple months who was going to get invited, who wasn't, and when I finally got the phone call, I was really honored to be there, and I'm really excited to getting this thing started in 2019.
Well, we 100% appreciate your efforts on the conservation side and helping protect our waters and helping us get the word out through the ability through the major fishing leagues and that sort of thing, and being a spokesperson for us and for fishing in general. And tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. I know you've done some PSAs with us a few years ago, and we're going to be doing some more of those, and you can find those on our Facebook page and YouTube and TWRA TV, stuff like that. But you've been working with our high school fishing clubs, and you do a lot of advertising in your store. Tell us about some of that.
Yeah, I've gone with the fisheries guys from back home. We've gone to a few high schools. We got some more slated up here before too long. And it's just, to me, that's somewhere that I was 10 years ago. I'm just 27, so I'm not that far out of high school and college. And the high school and college fishing has just really exploded. And in that, these guys are the ones that are traveling to these lakes that may have some of these other aquatic nuisance species that we don't have at Chickamauga or whatever their home lake may be. And if we can go out there and educate these guys are the future of fishing. They're the future of the outdoors. So if we can keep them in the right mindset and to where they can go out and in turn help educate people as well, that's something that I'm really passionate about, and I'd like to see their kids be able to do the same things that we enjoy doing now. And besides that, I mean, I've got the graphics on my truck, boat, and jersey and all that stuff. But at the store, I've got a retail tackle shop on Lake Chickamauga, Dayton Boat Dock. And I've got a big banner that hanging up over the top of my cash register. It just says, "Stop Aquatic Hitchhikers." Mm-hmm. And it draws a lot of attention. A lot of guys are seeing the ANS stuff all over the state of Tennessee, as well as other states all across the country. We go to these boat ramps, especially up in the northern lakes, and they've got the signs pretty similar to what Frank brought up a minute ago. And it's just something that a lot of guys have a lot of questions about. They may not understand everything about it. And just for me to be able to do that and interact with these people just makes it that much better.
Have you been involved with any of the little classes that they put on for those high school clubs? I know David and as you may have seen the picture there, Perry. Actually, you hadn't seen it yet. Let's move forward a little bit. Perry and Brandon and Mike and those guys out of Region 3, they help put on classes and they hide these aquatic nuisance species, on the boats and stuff, and say, can you check off the list?
Yep, I've done that with them at a couple places, and it's just great seeing the kids get out there, and they all seem to be really enthusiastic about it. That's something that I think you can just attribute to the high school fishing, is it's getting more and more of these kids involved. And if they're not involved, then it's just going to be a dying out thing. So it's definitely got the sport growing in the right direction. These classes these guys do, I'm fortunate to be a part of, and I look forward to going and doing some more soon.
And we were talking before the show, these kids growing up now, they're growing up seeing Asian carp, and they're growing up seeing zebra mussels and these aquatic nuisance vegetation, and they just think maybe it's supposed to be there. But we grew up, me and you and Frank and everybody in this room grew up not seeing these things, so it's not something normal for us, and we're trying to stop it. But these guys may not know the difference, and this education is very important.
Right, and I mean, it's something, the Asian carp at Kentucky, for example, the kids growing up on that lake now won't remember the days 5-10 years ago when Kentucky was one of the hottest lakes in the country. So, and that's the thing about all this, is it's man-made, most of it. It's something that we've done to create. So if we can educate the people to keep from further having these issues or figuring out how to at least slow them down a little bit, that's just all the more better to hopefully not impact any other more places than we have to.
Yeah. Well, Frank, let's talk a little bit more about the Asian carp and some of the things, since we've kind of transitioned to that point. What are we doing to help educate and let the public know that we're out there trying to work for them?
Yeah, I mean, the Asian carp is really a national problem, and a lot of the work that we do is coordinating nationally with and more immediately with surrounding states that share the Tennessee Valley, for example, or Mississippi River.
Right, Kentucky, we work closely with them.
We work closely with Kentucky, Alabama, and Mississippi, to protect the upper Tennessee River system. We're going to rely heavily on Alabama to for them to be able to stop carp as well as and do the things that we're trying to do in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, some of the things that we're doing, it's the really basic thing is to make sure that nobody accidentally moves a live Asian carp upstream. That would be really detrimental, and there's totally avoidable. There's other ways these fish are moving that we can't really stop today, but we know we can stop that action. And the recent regulations that we passed, limit people from moving carp out of places where we know there have been small carp that would likely be confused as bait. So that's why we are effective March 1st. You're not going to be able to take live shad or herring away from Kentucky Lake, Pickwick, and Barkley, and points west.
Okay.
So that's just one thing. The other thing that we're doing is monitoring these fish to understand more about them. I mean, we know a lot about how bass populations work in Tennessee, crappie and all that, and we need to know everything about these carp too, so we can be more effective in controlling them. And one of the things that we're seeing is that if you can harvest a lot of these fish, the probability of fish from that same population moving upstream decreases because there's fewer of them. Mm-hmm. And following that mindset, that's where the states of Tennessee and Kentucky have really worked hard on Kentucky and Barkley Lakes to remove fish. And it's not that we're out there doing it, but we're doing everything we can to encourage commercial fishing to do more of it. And the increase in commercial fishing activity and the markets that they're developing have been really encouraging. We're talking about taking millions of pounds out a year, where years ago we were talking about tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands.
Wow! So
that combined with some barrier work that we want to do, we think we can. That's the mindset we're in, is keep the numbers low, and then get some barriers in at strategic locations.
Is there a demand for those fish to be used in other markets?
Yeah, the value of the markets that have been developed, as I was saying, there's always a market, but we want to have a valued market where it's worthwhile for people to go catch the fish.
Right.
So there's a food market for like fish cakes and stuff like that. There's also a market that's developing for bait for these like lobster pots and snow crab kind of things, where they pay pretty high dollar for quality bait because they're going to get a good price for their product.
Right.
So and things like that have been more. I'm hearing more buzz about that, more interest in investment in these things. So that's pretty helpful. The barriers are another part, though. I mean, we've got the Fish and Wildlife Service is bringing in a sound barrier to Barkley. It was supposed to come in and it's supposed to be testing now, but it's not here yet. They had to re-engineer the thing to be able to withstand a hit from a barge that might be dragging a day marker or something. They realized that there's a lot of stuff that would be drug along the bottom of the canal.
Wow. So
they had to armor this thing. So they had to re-engineer it. That's supposed to go in this spring. So the hope is that we would have an opportunity to deploy that it's successful, first of all, and we hope it will be. We think it will be, and then we would find funding to get more of these, and put them on the upstream ends of Tennessee River. So something like Gunnersville, Nickajack, probably both, to have some redundancy to protect the upstream waters that don't have silver carp, for example.
Right. Okay.
And then. And further, the immigration rate, it's the fish that just keep coming in, the Kentucky and Barkley dams are going to be a continuing problem. So we would like to have barriers there as well. And there's some other issues with the 10-ton waterway that we'd like to address too. But yeah. So there's a lot of need for funding for barriers once we understand what we can do with them. In the meantime, the only tool we have is to prevent the movement of these fish and to do everything we can to encourage them to get fish down.
Mm-hmm. So, we've said this multiple times, but if somebody catches one, what do they need to do with it?
Well, if you catch an Asian carp in West Tennessee, we probably know about what's going on there. It's probably not new information to us. But if you catch small Asian carp, I'm talking fish under 10 inches out of a Kentucky or Barkley Lake or anywhere upstream in those systems, we want to know about it soon, and we'd like to have a picture. If you could put it in your freezer until we can come get it, we would do that.
Right.
Because as soon as we find out that those small fish are there, we need to double down on our efforts to make sure we have all the signs up so people are aware that they're there and that they don't move bait. And really, if we we would not only have the signage, we probably have more media, PSAs and stuff like that. So, but there's no sense in doing that work, putting the resources into that, and maybe crying wolf until we have that problem. So we're really hoping the public will. We have our own sampling that's going on, but it's not unlikely that a fisherman might be the first person to encounter a small fish.
And if they want to report these, is the ans.twra@tn.gov, that's the best way to do it?
That's our one-stop shopping for all invasive species, but we're monitoring that. That will greatly help us, and we'll get the word out to the regional office that needs to respond. We had a call last week or a couple weeks ago about possibly seeing fish at one of the reservoirs, and we went and checked it out. It wasn't a problem. It was shad or something. So we are responding. We're not just logging it. We're very eager to get out and review what's going on.
Do you encourage the fishermen to dispose of that fish if they catch a big Asian carp? Do we want them to? No, don't put it back, right?
Well, there's no sense in putting it back alive. And really, if you're into eating fish, you may as well take it home and take the easy meat off it and freeze it because it's very good eating.
Yeah, that's one thing we've had an opportunity to sample, and some of the guys in the fisheries crew, they whip some up for some folks and let them just taste it and see how good it actually can be, and it's not that bad of tasting fish. So, let's talk a little bit about the Asian Carp Harvest Incentive Program. I was trying to think. ACHIP is what we call
Asian
it.
Carp Harvest Incentive. We're going to call it the incentive program. We didn't want to make people think that we were incentivizing carp. It's incentivizing the harvest of carp.
Right.
So this is one of the ways that we're working with the commercial industry to make sure that more people are harvesting carp and make it attractive as compared to fishing for maybe buffalo or catfish. So under this program, we have $500,000 set aside to pay an extra 7 cents per pound to the fisherman that brings in carp, and we actually give 3 cents a pound to the buyer as well, so that they can expand their business and handle our paperwork and such. But that has us set up to take out over 2 million pounds of fish with the 200,000 a year.
Okay.
Part, right? Did that math right?
Yeah.
And then the other 50,000 we're putting into buying gill nets to give to commercial fishermen that sign up for the program through these contractors. So we're giving the fishermen not only the 7 cents a pound, but we're going to, as well, supplies, last kind of thing. We're giving them the netting material they need to catch the carp.
And if I missed it, just correct me, but is this for all fishermen or just commercial fishermen?
It's only for commercial fishermen.
Okay.
You still have to have a commercial license, and only those commercial fishermen that sign up with one of the contractors.
Okay.
So it's not, you can't just show up one day and be part of the program. You've got to let us know you're involved, and there's still plenty of room for that. We even have a slot available for a contractor yet. That we have 2 contractors approved, and we've got room for 1 more. So that's we didn't know how many we'd have, so we set it up for 3, and we've got 2 right now. We're happy to have the 2 that we have.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So that's that program will go on for at least 2 years, and we're hopeful that it'll take out. Trying to give these industries some stability is what it's all about as they have these early years of working with carp. So that's what we're trying to do.
Tell us a little bit about Michael. Let's jump to you. Have you ever ran into Asian carp on tour? Have you ever been fishing the tour and see these fish? And have they ever affected your tournament fishing?
Yeah, I fished 2 tournaments at Kentucky and Barkley Lakes this year, and it's for somebody that's never been there, there's really not a way to describe it. I mean, I was there in 2016 and I think 15 the year before that, and they were there and present, but just the amount that they have exploded in the last 2 years is just phenomenal to me. And I really think if you could take steps across the water and not disturb them, I don't know at Kentucky Lake if you could have walked from one dam to the other and not physically laid eyes on fish. Any place you go graph, any place you pull up and fish, you look in the water and they're constantly swimming around your boat. It's just crazy how many are there, and it's really impacting everything about the lake. I mean, a lot of pleasure boaters are not wanting to go out for fear of having them jump up behind the motor and hit somebody on a ski or wakeboard or whatever. So I mean, those places have got a bunch of them, and they repopulate very, very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, and you may have mentioned this before, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate. Why are you so passionate about helping us out?
It's just something that I was introduced to at a young age, and I don't want this to be a thing that dies out as time goes on. I mean, you see a lot of pastimes, a lot of sports and things like that kind of lose their steam, and especially now in the technology era that we're in, I'd like to see more of these kids get involved in the outdoors and to have something to go do besides sit at home behind a TV or computer or PlayStation or whatever it may be, just like I had the opportunity to. So that's something that I'm looking forward to, is just being able to get to more kids, maybe get chances to take some more fishing and things like that.
Cool. All right. Earlier before the show, you were telling me about a buddy of yours that had and fill me in here. He was catching some fish and he Asian carp, and you said that there should be. You think there'd be a pretty good market for them?
Yeah, Tom Mansour, he's fished the FLW Tour for several years. Won a tournament last year at I believe the Potomac River on tour, and he really believes that if they can get the prices up, like what TWRA and other agencies are really trying to do, that the commercial fishermen can really make an impact on them. So this is not something to be taken lightly. I mean, it's not something to be just, they're just trying to throw something at it. The TWRA is really making a stand, trying to progress into this problem and figure out ways to take it on. I mean, that's just one commercial fisherman that I've had conversations with, but he's a really big commercial fisherman from Wisconsin. He's done it all his life, and he's somebody that I would definitely think knows what they're talking about. So if he says it can be done, I really believe TWRA is taking the right direction here.
Cool. Awesome. Well, always remember our website, tnwildlife.org. We've got a lot of information out there on Asian carp and other aquatic nuisance species efforts. So visit our website, and that's a great place to stay up to date. And this don't spread or don't dump your bait, save the lake, and don't spread the invasive species. Little card that we've got is on our website. Remember, ans.twra@tn.gov is the best way to advertise or to contact us if you've caught a fish or find a fish, and we want to know about it. So take a picture of it, let us know, just like Frank was saying earlier. Yeah. And what's really cool about the back of this card, it shows you the difference between common bait and invasive carp, and how easily it is to get them confused, especially in a big net full of them, if you're casting.
Well, hopefully the card doesn't confuse you. If it has them all here and
no,
tells
the
you
card
how to
doesn't.
tell them
But it shows how easy it can be.
It could be easy.
Yeah, if you don't have the card, it's really it's confusing. So anyway,
but yeah, if you get pictures of the fish, that's great. We need bodies. We need the fish pictures. Pictures of what we saw a lot of side scan imagery. That's not what we're looking for here, because there's a lot of shad and things that would be really similar when we're most focused on them small fish. If anyone sees bigger carp in East Tennessee, definitely we want to know about it too. So
right.
We're just
well, let's on a lighter note, let's move to just some general fishing. Frank, I know you're a big fisherman, fished all your life and know a lot about it. But tell us what you like to fish for this time of year.
We got the pro here. You're asking me.
We'll get to him. He's going to make sure you're right.
No, I haven't. I usually would be trout fishing on the Caney this time of year. Kind of my stream fishing is winding down. It's getting cold. Really, this time of year, I slow down a little bit, catch up on honeydews at the house.
Yeah.
And I haven't been. I've been
swamped.
I've been swamped with some other stuff lately.
Yeah.
We're coming off our season setting process, and things finally calm down.
Yeah, fill folks in on that. When will the new guide be out?
The new guide will be out. Well, everything will be effective March 1st, so hopefully the guide will be out sometime in February, and it will. So yeah.
So those regulations that were voted on, the commission and everything, that's all set in stone, and that'll be printed and be available.
That's right.
By the start of the season, March 1st. So, Michael, what are you fishing for this time of year?
Typically, I still like to bass fish a lot, but I actually don't have a boat. I get a different boat every year, and I've already sold it, so not exactly sure when my new one will be in. But
he's grounded.
Yeah, pretty much.
Frank needs a fishing partner.
So if anybody wants to go fishing, hit me up. But no, I really enjoy a little bit of time off. I mean, it's fishing is still my passion. It's what I'd rather do than anything else. But at the end of the day, it kind of turns into a job. So you want a little bit of time there at the end of the year to kind of sit back and not think about fishing so much. But when I do get my boat, I like to crappie fish quite a bit in the wintertime. It's just something that I don't know why, just being able to go out and catch a fish under a float just really tickles me. Light line, 4-pound line.
Yeah.
They feel like 8-pound bass. So it's just a good time. I'll throw a little bit of crappie fishing and bass fishing at them this winter. I hope Chickamauga's the water temperature needs to cool off still some, but it'll be good for all species this year.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your store again, if we haven't already mentioned it. If you want to stop by and see you there, you're in Dayton. Is that right? Yeah.
Most of the time when I'm home, it's right there at Richland Creek at Dayton Boat Dock, where all the major tournaments go out of. BFL regionals, FLW Tour events, Bass Elite had an event there. Several big bass tournaments. It's a great place, great ramp, holds a lot of boats. I've got a little tackle shop and short order restaurant in there as well, so you can come by and get breakfast or lunch. And I've also expanded the store for the fishing side online as well, and it's
cool.
realdealtackle.com. So that's something that's going to take a little bit of my winter this year, is to keep the site up to date and make some changes. It's already launched, but make some changes to it, add some more pictures, add some inventory, things like that. So going to take a lot of time this year at the store and try and get things set up the right way.
A lot of bank fishing access right there, too, around your place.
There is, for sure. It's unbelievable the amount of big fish come off of the dock and around the bank there. It seems like every day somebody's catching a 5, 6 to 8 pounder. I mean, even as big as there's been some 10s weighed in on the bank on a set of hand scales in the spring. So just the other day, the woman that manages the restaurant for me, her son caught one that weighed over 6, just standing down there on the dock on a jig and just having a good time. I
caught the biggest fish I ever caught on the bank there on Percy Priest here in Nashville. I was in college and went fishing for a few hours and drug one out from under a little fishing pier. So they're everywhere. Frank, Michael, thank y'all for being with us today. Appreciate your input and your thoughts on all this. And Michael, thanks for everything you're doing for the agency and for Asian carp and aquatic nuisance species in general, just all the efforts you're taking to help us out. So really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm happy to support it.
And Frank, thank you for being with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. We really appreciate your help on all that. It's good to get an angler's face there in front of a lot of this. People really respect your experience in it, so it's a little more than just us saying it. So
exactly.
It's very helpful.
That's right. All right. Well, this is this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We appreciate y'all tuning in and watching and listening. And we'll see you next time. Remember, tnwildlife.org is a great place to find everything you need to find about Tennessee wildlife. So we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.